gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube. Go on over to Instagram and like, comment, share Key City Sports. Also, go and follow my page on millions.co. That is also my sponsor. And I also have merchandise on millions.co. Make sure to go over there and shop for the merchandise. So now it's back to football tonight. The NFL 2025 season kicks off with the Dallas Cowboys, my Dallas Cowboys, and them Eagles of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this is the first time since the Super Bowl that we can actually talk about a game that has actual meaning. Now, we all know with the Dallas Cowboys, and we all know Jerry Jones. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. I love Jerry Jones. But Jerry, you pretty much you just messed up the whole defensive dynamic, getting rid of Micah. You just messed it up for us. So now, what we got to do as Dallas Cowboy fans and a fan base is we got to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and get ready for tonight's game. But before I start with the matchup, I want to get into the rosters for both teams. Yes, I know. I know. Here is the Cowboys' offensive roster led by Dak Prescott. Our lead running back is Jaden Blue. And here is the wide receivers, the tight ends, the centers, the offensive tackle. Wow, we got 5 offensive tackles this year. So if we need more offensive tackles, we got them at our disposal. Here's the Dallas Cowboys defense. Defensive ends, defensive tackles, and linebackers. I need somebody on the defense to step up tonight. We need somebody on the defense for the Cowboys to step up tonight. I don't care who it is, but we got to fill the void that Micah Parsons left. We got to fill that void. Here's the rest of the defense for the Dallas Cowboys. Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland, he just signed a new contract a few days ago, so we need a few interceptions out of him tonight. And we also have for the Cowboys special teams injured reserve players in or out. Now, for the injured reserve players, they can come back after week 4. So they're starting the season injured. They can come back week 4. Now let me get to and also head coach. Cowboys have a new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer. He's the son of legendary head coach in the NFL back in the day, Marty Schottenheimer. So so hopefully tonight the game doesn't get ugly. I hope it doesn't. And for the reigning defending champion Philadelphia Eagles, we all know that they are led by Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. Here is everybody else that is on the roster. You have their top-notch guys, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. You got Darius Cooper. And then you have Dallas Goedert. And here's the rest of their offense. Here's the Philadelphia Eagles defense, which is projected to be a top 10 defense again coming into this season. Also, here is the Philadelphia Eagles special teams. And here is their injured reserve or out players. Now, for injured reserve players, like I said a few minutes ago, the injured reserve players are able to come back after week 4. And the Philadelphia Eagles head coach is Nick Sirianni. And also, practice squad for the Eagles. Here's the practice squad, and I need to go back and show you all the Dallas Cowboys practice squad. So if any players get injured for either team, no matter who it is, they will be able to plug in their practice squad. And I'm going to do this for every team throughout the show so that everybody knows Everybody knows what player you have on your team, who the players are, what position they play. So now, let me get to the point spread for tonight's game. Point spread for tonight's game in Philadelphia. They have the Eagles at an 8.5 point favorite. Most journalists I've talked to, they said that the Cowboys really are supposed to just come out there and lay an egg tonight. They are just supposed to, you know, let this be a coronation for the Philadelphia Eagles, because this is ring night, this is banner night for the Eagles, and us as Cowboy fans, we sitting in our seats at home or at the game. We want a Super Bowl. That is what I'm saying. We want a Super Bowl. But the matchup for the night, this matchup is great. This is the first time in 25 years that the NFL has started a season off with the Cowboys and the Eagles. Now me, I am a Dallas Cowboy fan through and through. I don't care how many wins we get. Yes, I do. I do care how many wins we get because I want to get back into the playoffs. But there's one thing that I have a problem with, and I have so much pessimistic thoughts when it comes to this. The Dallas Cowboy defense. I know what I'm going to get on offense between Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Jake Ferguson. I know what I'm going to get from my offensive line. It's just that doggone defense. And the Dallas Cowboys, they are projected to average 28, 29 points per game. But what about the defense? I need some turnovers. I need some interceptions. I need some game-changing plays from the defense. I also need some sacks. I need some pressure from the defensive line. Are the Dallas Cowboys able to do that throughout this season? We will see starting tonight. And for the Philadelphia Eagles, man, what can I say? The Philadelphia Eagles, defending champion. Philadelphia Eagles projected to make it back to the Super Bowl with the same players. They added a few. They added a few more players. You got Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. I mean, the list just goes on and on. And tonight, I'm gonna say one last thing about this. When it comes to records against divisional rivals, you can throw that out the window. You can throw all them statistics out the window from past games, past seasons, because when it comes to your division rival, they see you more than anybody else. They know what kind of plays you are going to run. They know what kind of stuff that you are strong at, and they know what kind of stuff you are weak at. So for the team that I'm gonna pick in this game, the fandom in me is saying the Cowboys, but the journalistic side of me is saying the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win this game, and that is what I see. It's going to be a tight game. It's going to be a tight game throughout. But the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win this game, and the Cowboys will win the second divisional game, which is later on in the season in Dallas. So I got the Eagles winning tonight. Hopefully I'm wrong. I would love to come in here tomorrow and tell all you Cowboy haters and Eagles fans that we upset the Philadelphia Eagles in their house on opening night of the NFL season. I would love to see that, but I just got to see what my team looks like before I could go on ahead and say that, because we just don't know how the defense is going to look for Dallas. We just don't know. We just don't. So I got the Eagles winning tonight. The next game, which is tomorrow night, the Friday night game, Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. Right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are a 3.5-point favorite. Let me show you all their roster. The Kansas City Chiefs roster, led by Patrick Mahomes. You got Patrick Mahomes. You got Isaiah Pacheco, Elijah Mitchell, Hollywood Brown. You got Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster. The list goes on and on. Tight end Noah Gray. Here is the rest of the Kansas City Chiefs offense. And here is the Kansas City Chiefs defense, led by Chris Jones, Nick Bolton, and then you also have Trent McDuffie. Now, Nick Bolton, and now here is the roster for the Chiefs special teams, led by Harrison Butker. He is reliable when it comes to field goal kicking. And here is the players who are on injured reserve or out. The players can report back to the roster after week 4 if they are on injured reserve or if they are out. So, the matchup and also practice squad for the Kansas City Chiefs. Here is the practice squad for the Kansas City Chiefs. They are led by head coach Andy Reid for a 13th season. They are led by Andy Reid. Now, the Chiefs, in this case, we all know how the Chiefs did last season. They got to the Super Bowl on the cusp of a three-peat, then got blown out by the Philadelphia Eagles. Next week, the Eagles play the Chiefs in Kansas City, so we are going to get the matchup that we have been wanting. Now, for the Chiefs, when it comes to their offense, the last couple of years, the Chiefs' offense has been a little bit stagnant. I can say, because last season, as far as offensive line, they had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. They did. The season before that, their offensive line was below average, and the season before that, their offensive line was above average. So, Kansas City Chiefs, they haven't had a decent offensive line in about 3 years, I'm going to say. So, Kansas City Chiefs, what they need to work on as far as from an offensive standpoint is the offensive line. They need to give Mahomes more time, because almost every time the Chiefs lose a Super Bowl, it is because of the offensive line. It was that way in Tampa. It was that way with the Eagles. Now it was that way with the other team that they lost to. Excuse me, it was just between the Eagles and Tampa Bay. So I'm good. So now, one thing that we have to look at is how dynamic the Chiefs offense is going to be. I just read their offensive lineup. Got Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster. You got Xavier Worthy. I didn't mention him. Then you have Isaiah Pacheco. You have Hollywood Brown. You have Rashee Rice. Let me see. You have about 6, maybe 7 offensive players on the Chiefs that can impact the game by just 4, maybe 5 plays. So the Chiefs, I know everybody is saying that the Chiefs are supposed to drop. They are supposed to come down. Maybe Buffalo, maybe Baltimore is the top team in the AFC. I just don't see it. The Chiefs, somebody is going to have to beat the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl in the AFC. I don't want to just see the Chiefs get to the Super Bowl and then somebody in the NFC beat them, because if Buffalo is a good team, if Baltimore is a good team. They should be able to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs no matter where they are, whether they are in Kansas City or on the road. The 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 Bengals, they did it with Joe Burrow. The Buffalo Bills, they done had chances to do it. Couple years ago, the Ravens, they had a chance to do it. They were at home and they lost to the Chiefs at home. So something has got to give, or is Patrick Mahomes, is he just that bad, man? And does he run the AFC like he has been over the past 6 years? Because for the last 6 years, it's been for the Kansas City Chiefs, it has been AFC Championship appearance, Super Bowl trophy, AFC Championship appearance, Super Bowl appearance, AFC Championship appearance, Super Bowl appearance and win, Super Bowl appearance and win, and Super Bowl appearance and a loss, just like it was last year. So, what can the AFC do this year to combat the Chiefs' force powerhouse of getting to the AFC Championship game or getting to the Super Bowl? Now, there's another team on this. There's another team that they are facing. The LA Chargers, second year under Jim Harbaugh. We all know that the second year under Jim Harbaugh led teams, they make a significant improvement. Now, the Chargers, they are led by Justin Herbert. Here is their offense. They have Keenan Allen, excuse me. You have Ladd McConkey, Tyler Conklin, and you also have a dominant defense that is projected to be top 15 again in the NFL. Now, the Chargers, one thing that we have to worry about is if the Chargers are going to Charger. And what I mean by Charger, I mean that when the Chargers, they get to a big stage, will they crumble under pressure? Because we know that the Chargers, outside of a warm climate, historically, they haven't been able to win. They haven't. So if the Chargers want to get to the Super Bowl, either they're going to have home field advantage, which is tough playing in a division where you have Patrick Mahomes that has dominated the AFC for the past 7 years. You also either have to play Miami or a dome team in the AFC, preferably the Houston Texans or somebody like that. But for the Chargers, it might be a tough road because you also have to play the Pittsburgh Steelers on your schedule. You also have to play the Baltimore Ravens on your schedule. Yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you also have to play, I know the Baltimore Ravens are somewhere on this schedule. My mistake. The Baltimore Ravens are not on the Chargers schedule, but they do have some tough matchups. Not to mention the first game, Kansas City, which is the one that we are talking about. So as far as the Chargers defense, I don't have no problem with their defense. When it comes to the Chargers offense, now I know that Jim Harbaugh, he likes to have a run efficient offense. He's a run first kind of coach. But when it comes to defenses that have centered their stoppage on the run game, what do the Chargers do? Now, you already have Justin Herbert, and he's shown you that he can throw it over 35 to 40 times a game. But does the Chargers, when they get into those pressure-packed moments in these games throughout the season, do they just let Justin Herbert get first downs with his feet and throw passes? Or will they still be able to run the football effectively throughout the entirety of the season. We always, in the NFL, and this is in any sport, you are always going to have some of those games where you don't start off hot. You don't start off cooking as well as you want to. You're always going to have those games where you are going to be tested. So there are quite a few games on the Chargers schedule that are going to give them a test. Tomorrow night's game is going to give them a test, but I have the Chiefs winning tomorrow night's game. And I also have a bet on the game too. So I'm confident that the Chiefs will be able to pull this game out. And plus, this is also a divisional game. The next game I am going to cover is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. Tampa Bay last season had a chance to make the playoffs. They did make the playoffs. Lost to the Washington Commanders. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are led by Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has resurrected his career from Cleveland to Carolina, from Carolina to Tampa Bay. And also, the Buccaneers, they have a good running back in Bucky Irvin, and here's the rest of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. You also have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin Jr., Cameron Johnson, Tez Johnson, Sterling Shepard. Now this is going to be a pretty decent offense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Here is the Buccaneers defense, which was top 15 in the NFL last year and could be top 15 this year. Here is the special teams for the Buccaneers. Here is the injured reserve or players who are going to be out. Now, for the injured reserve players, they can report back to the roster by week 4, at the start of week 4, because when it comes to injured reserve players starting the season out injured reserve, by NFL rule, you have to wait until a quarter of the season is over with to report back to the active roster. And here is the practice squad for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Here is the here's the roster for the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons, they are led by Michael Penix Jr. Now, I believe that Michael Penix Jr., he is going to have a good season because last year he was, behind Kirk Cousins. Now Kirk Cousins, he may play, but we all know who the future is down in Atlanta. It's Michael Penix Jr. Here's also their running back, Bijan Robinson, Kadero Hodge, Drake London, and here's the rest of the Atlanta Falcons offensive roster. Here is the Atlanta Falcons defensive roster. Here is the Atlanta Falcons special teams led by Younghoe Koo. And here is their injured reserve or out players. Like I've been saying throughout this show, injured reserve can come back after week 4. Practice squad players. Here is the practice squad players. And they are led by head coach Raheem Morris. Now, one thing about the Atlanta Falcons, they are a young, up-and-coming team. But the Buccaneers, they are a experienced team. And the Buccaneers, they've won the division the last 4 years. So this game, it's already a divisional game, but I'm not going to say that week 1 divisional games don't hold weight, because they do, Because in the past, I'm going to tell you, in the past, a week one game has held so much weight to the point where we get to week 16, week 17, and then we are looking back at team schedules over the season, and we see where they lost an early season game, and that could be the determining factor where they are number 2 in the playoffs or they are number 6 in the playoffs. So it's not a whole lot of gray area when the season starts. Get these wins and try and have a high playoff seeding. That's what this is. It is important to win as many games as you can early in the season, because you know that you are going to have some nagging injuries come week 10, week 11, week 12. You know that you are going to have that. So the point spread for this game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Atlanta Falcons. Tampa is a 1.5 point favorite. And who I have winning this game, I have the Atlanta Falcons winning this game because, like I've been saying throughout the show, throughout the entirety of the show, divisional games throw all of the statistics out, throw all of the odds, the predictions, throw all of that out, because you don't know what you are going to get when it comes to a divisional game. But I got the Dirty Birds of Atlanta winning this game over the Buccaneers. The next game I'm going to cover is the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns, or as I like to call them, the mistake by the lake, because Cleveland, they made a mistake. And that's no pun intended. They made a mistake because Cleveland, they have Joe Flacco as a starting quarterback. Second string quarterback could be is Dylan Gabriel. And the third string quarterback is Shedeur Sanders. Now, before I give y'all the rosters for the Bengals and the Browns, I just want to say this is going to be a very interesting season when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. This is the most interesting the Browns have looked in the past 30 years. I mean, they haven't had this much media hype since, I'm going to say, 85 with Bernie Kosar and Ernest Biner. If you all can remember back that far, if my audience that's 55 and older, you probably know who I'm talking about. Anybody that is under 30, please get your history book, or you can look it up right here on YouTube and see who I'm talking about when I say Ernest Biner or Bernie Kosar. But that's nor here nor there. The Cleveland Browns, you are in a situation where you have a 41-year-old quarterback in Joe Flacco, who will be turning 42 by the end of the season. You have Dylan Gabriel. You pretty much don't know what you have in Dylan Gabriel. And then you have a quarterback whose name holds a lot of weight in the NFL. Not just because who his daddy is, but just because of that name on the back of his jersey. I mean, the Sanders name, we all know that holds weight in the NFL. We all know that. Shedeur, he is just a mild-mannered, wholesome player. He doesn't care. He doesn't care how much time he gets. Y'all already heard him at the end of the preseason. He's like, as long as I make the team and when my number is called, I'm going to be prepared and ready. And that's all. That is all that we want as fans. We just want you to be prepared and ready. That's all. That's all. Prepared and ready. Now let me get into the Bengals and Browns roster. Now the Bengals, defensively, they are gonna stink up the joint. So I'm not even excited about seeing their defense. I'm not. When it comes to their offense, we know that it's led by the three-headed monster, as I like to call them, a big three: Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. But I need somebody else for the Cincinnati Bengals to step up this year. I need something from Chase Brown. I need something from Samaje Perine. I need something from Jermaine Burton, another wide receiver that is second on their wide receiver depth chart. I need some help when it comes to the Bengals because outside of these players, my average audience, they don't know who Jermaine Burton is. They don't know who Samaje Perine is. They don't know who Chase Brown is. They don't know who Charlie Jones is. Mitchell Tansley, Noah Fant. Come on, guys. Y'all got to make a name for yourselves. Because if the Bengals are going to be one of those teams that make it to the playoffs like we know that they can, somebody is going to have to step up on the offense and the defense. Now, Cincinnati Bengals defense is led by Trey Hendrickson. He gonna need some help because last season, 28th ranked defense for the Cincinnati Bengals. This season, projected to be one of the top 20 defenses. But like I've been saying, last season, the Bengals, 5 games, they gave up 28 points or more. You can't have that if you're going to be a top defense in the NFL. Also, special teams for the Cincinnati Bengals: Evan McPherson, Ryan Reefco, and William Wagner. Injured reserve players. Injured reserve players can come back after week 4. And here is the practice squad. Cincinnati Bengals coach is Zach Taylor. Now, let me get to the Cleveland Browns roster. Cleveland Browns roster, you have, like I said earlier, you have Joe Flacco, you have Dylan Gabriel, you have Shedeur Sanders. Now, Shedeur Sanders, he is going to get some playing time in this season. He is. Now, I'm pretty sure everybody, and I do mean everybody who is a big Shedeur Sanders fan, I know that I have some big Shedeur Sanders fans in my family circle. So I'm pretty sure they're probably listening to me right now. Shedeur Sanders, he is going to play this season. After about maybe week 4, week 5, and if things are not, on the come up for the Cleveland Browns, you can see Shedeur Sanders possibly play in week 6 or week 7 against a team like Pittsburgh or Miami, because the Browns, they have to see who they have, what kind of quarterback they have when it comes to Gabriel and Shedeur, because they are projected to have the top draft pick in April's draft. So the Browns, I believe that either they are overplaying their hand or they know what they're doing. Owner Jimmy Haslam, he is just following the process. To the general manager Andrew Berry, I know Andrew Berry, he is feeling good right now drafting Shedeur Sanders, because Shedeur Sanders is the reason why we're talking about the Browns. If Shedeur Sanders was not on the Browns, we would not be talking about the Browns. I would not be talking about the Browns. This is the longest that I have ever talked about the Browns ever since this show started. The average time for me talking about the Browns over the last 2 years has only been 4 minutes, America. 4 minutes. And I'm already 8 minutes in talking about the Browns and Shedeur Sanders. So that's pretty much an improvement as far as what's going on here. But who do I have winning this game? It's another divisional matchup. And like I've been saying throughout the show, divisional matchups, they carry a different weight than an out of conference or out of division matchup. As of right now, the Cincinnati Bengals are 5.5-point favorites. What I am going to say, I see an upset somewhere on this schedule, and I believe that an upset could possibly be brewing in the mistake by the lake, Cleveland, Ohio. I do believe that we might see an upset there, but for right now, I expect the Cincinnati Bengals to win this game. And I expect them to cover five, 5.5 point favorite. I expect them to win this game by a touchdown, but I would not be surprised if the Cleveland Browns win this game. Better yet, I would not be surprised if Joe Flacco, I'm not wishing injury on anybody, and I'm not wishing injury on Joe Flacco, but I would not be surprised if Joe Flacco went down. Dylan Gabriel stinks up the joint. And then you have Shedeur Sanders come in, save the day, and win the game. Now, it might not happen this game, but it is going to happen for the Cleveland Browns one of these games because it's a long season, and I'm here for it. We all here for it. We all want to see Shedeur Sanders be successful no matter what team he owns. And also, Cleveland, you should be happy about this. My old high school history teacher is also a Cleveland Browns fan. And I know he probably watching right now somewhere. But that's nor here nor there. I have the Cincinnati Bengals winning the Battle of Ohio in the mistake by the lake, which is Cleveland, Ohio. The next game I am going to cover is the Miami Dolphins and the Indianapolis Colts. Miami is winning this game. I am not confident in the Indianapolis Colts at all in this game. The roster for the Miami Dolphins, you got Tua Tagovailoa, you got Devontae Chain, A-Chain, you got Jalen Wright, you got Tyreek Hill, you got Jalen Waddle, you got Darren Waller as a big tight end. And who do you have on the Indianapolis Colts? The Miami Dolphins defense could be a little bit better than last year. We don't know. They need to play some quality competition before I can say that they have a good defense. Here's the special teams for the Miami Dolphins. Here's the injured reserve for the Miami Dolphins. Injured reserve players come back after week 4. They are led by head coach Mike McDaniel. The Miami Dolphins reportedly, and I do mean reportedly, I want somebody to clip this. Clip these next 15 to 20 seconds. Mike McDaniel is reportedly on the hot seat. And he is already on my chopping block for NFL coaches heading into 2025. Now, I've been reading articles and reports, and I've also came out with some reports myself to where the Miami Dolphins, they say, due to offensively being one of the top teams in the NFL, and I'm going to say this, since Mike McDaniel has been there, Miami Dolphins offense has been top 15 all 3 years. All 3 years. It's just when Tua Tagovailoa gets injured, the offense, it drops from being a top 15 offense to a bottom 10 offense in the NFL. And if you are trying to be a consistent team that makes the playoffs year in and year out, you need a healthy quarterback. You need a healthy and reliable backup quarterback. Excuse me. Also, Miami Dolphins, you have the same problem that the Chargers have. You can't win a playoff game in a cold weather climate. Either the Miami Dolphins have to be at home, have to have home field advantage to get to the Super Bowl, or they have to play in a dome or a warm weather climate. Whether it's Florida, Georgia in the Mercedes-Benz Dome, Houston, or out there in LA. But the Miami Dolphins, They can't win. They cannot win a playoff game. And until it was Tyreek Hill earlier in the offseason said that this is a narrative. Narratives are things that can only be pushed. This is a historical stat that the Miami Dolphins can't win in weather that is 50 degrees or below. I mean, even if it's 48 degrees, they have a problem with winning in 48-degree weather in Miami. And let me tell you, I love Miami. I've been to Miami. It's sunny. It's just sunny and blue skies in Miami. I would love to for the Miami Dolphins to have home field advantage there because I would be covering some of those games from right there in the stadium. Right there in the stadium. But back to what I was saying, the matchup at hand. The Dolphins should be able to win this game, and I think that they are going to be able to win this game because Indianapolis, I don't have much confidence in Daniel Jones. And over the past couple of years, what have I said about Daniel Jones? I have said Daniel Jones, he cannot play the quarterback position effectively. I even go on ahead to say that he is one of, if not the worst white quarterback out there. Come on. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. You've got other white quarterbacks in the NFL that has the same kind of offensive line that Daniel Jones had and has done way more. We cannot be moving the goalposts here, America, when it comes to Daniel Jones. Now, I know it's a lot of New York Giants fans and Indianapolis Colts fans that are going to disagree with me on this. But no matter what color the quarterback is, if they do not have a good offensive line, they won't be able to succeed. But outside of the offensive line, Daniel Jones, he was just not a good quarterback. Look at this. He had touchdown to interception ratios. In 2022, it was 19-9 touchdown interception ratio. He threw 19 touchdowns and had 10 interceptions. That touchdown to interception ratio is 2.5. 2.5. What can I do with that? You throw 2.5 touchdowns, and I know those metrics are kind of confusing, but excuse me. But one thing that I can say is that is a little bit inconsistent there when it comes to, and not just that, in 2023, he was, as far as his touchdowns, he threw 13 touchdowns to 5 interceptions because he was injured. But his touchdown to interception ratio has not been good throughout the entirety of his career. And everybody expects him to go to Indianapolis and somehow resurrect his career. Even though that Anthony Richardson, I might have you. This has been his job. It's a make or break year for, I'm going to say it's a make or break year. I want somebody to clip this too. It's a make or break year for Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. Now, I know Anthony Richardson, he is going to be a backup for the Indianapolis Colts, but it's a make or break year for Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. Come on now. You got a below average white quarterback in Daniel Jones that's getting paid more money than he should be. And then you have Anthony Richardson, who is just, Anthony Richardson, he just got so much talent, and it just seems like he doesn't know how to use it. And when he is starting to turn the corner in his career, he always has a nagging injury or something goes against the progress that he is making. Now, I always tell people there has to be progress during a process in order to improve. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say that again. There has to be progress during a process in order to improve. Anthony Richardson, in a possible 37 games, he has only played 14 of a possible 37 games. Daniel Jones, 4-5 years of underperforming stats. If I'm the Indianapolis Colts and if I'm an Indianapolis Colts fan, Pat McAfee, I know you're out there. Hopefully you watching this. Hopefully you get a chance to watch this. But Pat McAfee, he is the biggest Indianapolis Colts fan I know. He is a little pessimistic about his Colts this season. And me, when it comes to the Colts, the last 3 seasons, the Colts have been in the playoff conversation. But by the time Thanksgiving or Christmas gets here, the Indianapolis Colts are no longer in the playoff conversation. So for the Colts, can they put a winning product on the field? That's what I want. They need to put a winning product on the field because you have the fans, they want to see the Colts back in the playoffs. Me, I want to see the Colts back in the playoffs. And to every football fan base, I would love to see everybody in the playoffs, but it's only 14 teams that are able to make it to the playoffs. So now, who do I have winning this game? As of right now, the point spread is a 1.5 point spread for the Indianapolis Colts. But I got Miami winning this game. I do. I got Miami winning this game. But I am not going to bet on it because you don't know what you are going to get in week 1. You just don't. We saw that in college football just last weekend. We just didn't know. We thought that we were going to get a fine-tuned scoring machine offense, and we got a couple of duds when it came to offensive play, when it came to certain teams. The next game I am going to cover is the Las Vegas Raiders and the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots are a 2.5 point favorite. For the Raiders, I could also see the Raiders winning this game because the Raiders, they have Ashton Genty. They also have Geno Smith. They got the oldest coach in the NFL in Pete Carroll. But let me tell y'all something. Age is just a number in any situation. I don't care what kind of situation it is. They always say experience matters, but sometimes give the young guy a chance. That's what you need to do. Give the young guy a chance. And I can also say this personally in my experience. Over the past month, hey, we this show had been looking for a sponsor, and we got our sponsor in Millions.co. They took a chance on me. They like what they seeing, and shout out to Millions.co and go on over to Millions.co and look at my merchandise. Yes. Now back to the matchup. I got the Vegas Raiders winning this game because I like what I'm seeing from Drake May. But we all know the past few years when it comes to opening day, the Patriots have lost on opening day. And for the Raiders, they are stepping into a new era. And the Raiders are a run-first team. Now, Patriots defense last season didn't do too well against the run. And I'm expecting the Patriots to have problems in the run game, which the Raiders' run game is led by Ashton Genty, who averaged 15 yards rushing every game while he was at Boise State last season. Now, everybody say that this is the NFL. You're dealing with professionals. Yes, I understand that it's the NFL, but football is football, no matter what level you are on. Me, I played high school football. I could have played college, but I had surgery, and I wasn't able to pursue my dream. But different levels of football, it's pretty much the same. The only thing that's different is the level of competition. You have the upper echelon level of competition when it comes to the NFL. But at the end of the day, I expect the Las Vegas Raiders to win this game. Here is the New England Patriots roster led by Drake May. Here is the defense for the New England Patriots. Here is the rest of the defense for the New England Patriots. Special teams for the New England Patriots. Injured reserve players can come back week 4. They are led by head coach Mike Vrabel. Also, the Raiders are led by head coach Pete Carroll. So I got the Raiders winning this game. The next game I am going to cover is the Arizona Cardinals and the New Orleans Saints. Saints are projected to have the worst offense in the NFL. And have the worst team in the NFL. And Spencer Rattler is the starter. So how many wins does the New Orleans Saints, are they projected to win this year? The most is 5, but I don't think that they are going to win. I don't think they're going to win this weekend. I don't. Here is the New Orleans Saints offense. Let everybody have a good look at the offense for all you Saints fans out there so you will know who is on your team. You also have a defense that is going to be one of the worst, if not the worst defense in the NFL. Because I can already see plays of 25, 30 yards happening through this defense. Here's the special teams for the New Orleans Saints. Here is the injured reserve. Injured reserve players can come back after week 4. Head coach for the New Orleans Saints is Kellen Moore. Now, Kellen Moore, he has a good 3 years to come and improve this team. After 3 years, they're pretty much done. Pretty much. Now, one thing I can say is the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals are like that one team, I'm gonna take this back to real life. The Arizona Cardinals, they're like that one girlfriend where you know that she has a lot of potential if she just applies herself, but she doesn't want to do it because she has gotten too comfortable in her current confines in her life. That is the Arizona Cardinals right now. They've gotten too comfortable with Kyler Murray. They don't know what quarterback to build for the future. They don't. And you got Jacoby Brissett, but Jacoby Brissett, he is only going to give you 3, maybe 4 quality games. And after that, he is just going to be a complete and total shell of himself. Here's the Arizona Cardinals roster as far as offense. Here is the defense for the Arizona Cardinals. Here is the special teams for the Arizona Cardinals. And injured reserve reports back right after week 4. Head coach of the Arizona Cardinals is Jonathan Gannon. Now, is Jonathan Gannon on the hot seat? Because I've been hearing speculations and rumors that Jonathan Gannon is on the hot seat. I don't think so. Maybe after this season or after next season, possibly going into 2027, he's possibly on the hot seat because 2027, that would be his 6th year at the helm when it comes to being the head coach for the Arizona Cardinals. So I have the Arizona Cardinals winning over the New Orleans Saints. The next game I am going to cover, Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Jets. You have Aaron Rodgers facing his old team, and you got Justin Fields facing his old team. This is box office gold for the 1 o'clock bracket for the NFL on Sunday. Pittsburgh, one thing I can say is Pittsburgh, they did some stuff that was very surprising. They got Aaron Rodgers. They got DK Metcalf. They also got top-notch players for the defense, and they also signed T.J. Watt to a big, massive contract. Something that the Pittsburgh Steelers don't ever do is sign their big-time players to lucrative contracts. But it's a different day and time, America. It's a different day and time where if you want your players to stay with you, you're going to have to pay them top dollar, and that's exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers did. Now, here is the Pittsburgh Steelers roster. Here is their offense. Here is the Steelers defense. Here's the Steelers special teams. Injured reserve can report back after week 4. And they are led by head coach Mike Tomlin, the 18-season head coach Mike Tomlin. Y'all know that I like me some Mike Tomlin, so hey, y'all gonna have to bear with me. And everybody keep on saying, is Mike Tomlin gonna get fired? Please stop talking about that, because it's foolish. It's some foolish rhetoric that y'all keep on saying, talking about should Mike Tomlin be fired. He hasn't had a losing season ever in his 18 years coaching the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, only thing that we have a problem with that is he hasn't won a playoff game in almost 10 years. Last time the Steelers won a playoff game, I was in middle school. And let me tell you, middle school for me, it wasn't that long ago, but hell, as these years go by, these years start rolling like weeks. So we feel older than we actually look. We feel older than we actually look, America. But that is nor here nor there. As far as for the Steelers, I expect them to win as far as 9, 10 games. No more than that. But it all depends on, and as far as playoffs, it all depends on who the Steelers play. Now, credit, if the Steelers play a team like, I'm going to say, the Houston Texans, or I'm just going to say the Denver Broncos, then maybe they'll have a chance. But if the Steelers are playing against a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills, then they won't have a chance at winning the playoff game. So, one thing that I can say is Pittsburgh, you have very, very winnable games at the start of this season. You have a very winnable game this Sunday when it comes to the New York Jets. Now, New York Jets, we all know that this is a purgatory, and I'm going to say that word again, purgatory franchise, and they have fallen into loser obscurity. I'm going to say that again. They have fallen into loser obscurity over the past 35 years. The New York Jets haven't had, they've had winning seasons. New York Jets haven't made it to the playoffs since boy, that was a long time ago since they made the playoffs. I was a little kid when they made the playoffs. Little kid, they just made the playoffs. I was just getting an interest with football when the Jets made it to the playoffs. And since then, it has been 14, almost going on 15 years of them not even making the playoffs. This is the $1,000,000 question, America, and this is for throughout the whole world. This question: do the New York Jets make the playoffs this season? If I was you, I would not bet any money on the New York Jets making it to the playoffs this season. But hey, I know I have a whole lot of risk takers when it comes to my sports betting men and women out here. But if it was me, I'm gonna keep my money in my wallet. I ain't even gonna touch nothing that says the Jets. Who bets the Jets? I mean, really, who bets the Jets on anything? If you done bet the Jets on anything, you have lost more times than you have won. And one thing that I can say, the roster for the New York Jets, it's a good roster. But how many wins are the New York Jets going to get this season? 5 to 7? 7 to 9? 9 to 11? I don't think so. They are led by Justin Fields. They also have Tyrod Taylor, top running back Braylon Allen. Here is their wide receivers. They have Alan Lazard, Josh Reynolds, Garrett Wilson. The list goes on and on. Here is their roster. Here is their defensive roster for the New York Jets. Top cornerback Sauce Gardner. Special teams for the New York Jets, Nick Folk. Nick Folk has been around for a while. He is 40, so he's been around. He has been around for a while. Injured reserve players can report back after week 4. New York Jets are led by head coach Aaron Glenn. Practice squad for the New York Jets. Here is their practice squad. Aaron Glenn is trying to create a new blueprint for the New York Jets. Have the players bought into his system? We are going to see throughout this season if they have bought into his system. Who do I have winning this game? I have the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this game because I just don't know what I'm going to see from the New York Jets. I know what I'm going to see. Well, I'm going to rephrase this. I know what I expect to see from Aaron Rodgers, but expecting and hoping to see something is totally different things. Now, Aaron Rodgers, we are expecting some type of a decency from Aaron Rodgers. From what we saw the last 10 games of last season. If we could get that with Aaron Rodgers, I'm pretty sure every football fan and every Aaron Rodgers fan would be okay. Would be okay. But for the New York Jets, I got to look at 3, maybe 4 games of tape before I can say, okay, the New York Jets could possibly be a tough outing for any team in the NFL. I got to look at maybe 3 or 4 games of them first. But I have the Patriots winning this game. The next game I am going to cover is the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders. Right now, the Washington Commanders are a 6.5-point favorite. I have the Washington Commanders winning this game. I also have a bet on this game. I bet the Washington Commanders to win this game, and I am very confident in JD5. But first, let me get to the New York Giants roster. Here is the New York Giants roster, who is led by Russell Wilson. Jackson Dart, he had a good preseason. Jameis Winston is also on the roster. Devin Singletary, Cam Scatterboo will be their top running back for the New York Giants. Now, the New York Giants, they have a tough, and I do mean a tough schedule, but whoever predicted the Giants to just win 5 games, you're pretty much being disrespectful to the Giants. Now, I have watched the Giants for years, and offensively, the Giants, they have looked awful. But there have been some times where the Giants, they've turned it on at the right time, and they've won 8, 9, 10 games and made it to the playoffs. So, all you odds makers out there, if you're saying that the Giants are only going to win 5 games, man, I got news for you. Because when you look at this schedule, now I'm going to tell you, they do have some tough teams on this schedule. They do. But they have Washington twice. And I believe that they can win at least one of those games versus Washington. They also have my Cowboys twice. I believe that they can win one, if not at least one of the games versus Dallas. Then you have Kansas City, and you're getting to the point where it's like, okay, you're going into a hatchet fight without a hatchet. You have the Chargers. Okay, there's a possibility where you can win that game. You have the Saints, a win there. Denver, you're going to Denver, so possibly another loss there. Then you have the Philadelphia Eagles, a loss there. San Francisco, a loss there. Chicago, possibly a loss there. Green Bay, possibly a loss there. Detroit, in Detroit, possibly a loss there. Then you have Minnesota. Now, I don't know how Minnesota will be by the time December gets here, but it could possibly be a loss or it could be a win. New York Giants, this is gonna be a tough season, but if they can just compete and show the fan base that they are headed in the right direction, New York Giant fans will be happy. Because, like I said, we all want our teams to be successful, but we also have to be realistic. Now, one thing about the Washington Commanders made it to the NFC Championship game. Where is the improvement for the Washington Commanders this season? Is it going to the Super Bowl, or is it winning the Super Bowl? Because Washington Commanders, I have it like this. The NFC, I have the Eagles, Washington Commanders, Green Bay Packers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, possibly, and I do mean possibly, the Atlanta Falcons. Then you have the San Francisco 49ers, and I have to put Dallas somewhere in that list. I do. I have to put Dallas somewhere in that, because I believe that if it comes down to whether a team, whichever team that plays the Washington Commanders in the playoffs, this is just a scenario. Washington Commanders, they have the 2nd seed, and the winner of either, I'm going to say, Tampa or Dallas, the winner of that game plays the Washington Commanders in a playoff game. I believe Dallas comes out on top. And so that's why I have Dallas as one of the top 7 teams in the NFC. Because I just believe that the Cowboys are much better than the Buccaneers. I do. But as far as the Commanders offense is led by Jaden Daniels. Then you have Debo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, you have Luke McCaffrey, and you also have these dominating tight ends when it comes to the Commanders. Now, last season, the Commanders defense was 18th in the NFL. I think that the Washington Commanders defense is going to improve, not by much, but they are going to be improved. And here is the special teams for the Washington Commanders. Injured reserve players can report back after week 4. Practice squad players for the Washington Commanders. Here is the practice squad for the Washington Commanders. Washington Commanders, they are a 6.5 point favorite in this game. I believe the Washington Commanders, they cover this game and they will get their first win of the season. They will. The next game I'm going to cover is the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is going to be a cat fight here, because the Panthers, they are in the cat family, and the Jaguars are also in the cat family. So we may have a catastrophe on our hands in this game in Jacksonville, Florida. So now the rosters for the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Carolina Panthers are led by Bryce Young. Now, Bryce Young, he is going to have a better season. Also, when it comes to running backs, Rico Dowdle, and you have Travis Etienne's brother for the Jaguars. So you have a little bit of, sibling rivalry when it comes to both of those two, because they always want to be able to, be more successful than one another. But at the end of the day, it's all in brotherly love when it comes to brothers being able to be successful in their careers. It's all that. And also, wide receiver, Jimmy Horn. He is a product of, I'm going to say this, he is a product of the Colorado Buffaloes and Coach Prime's wide receiver core from the past 2 years. So everybody, please give Jimmy Horn a hand clap for making it to the Carolina Panthers. And he is going to be one of the top wide receivers for the Carolina Panthers this year. Deion Sanders, he is producing NFL talent right before y'all eyes. Y'all got to give Deion Sanders credit. More than half of the players that are in the NFL right now, they come from the Colorado Buffaloes. So all of this Deion hate that y'all been spewing, please, y'all need to rescind that hate. That hate needs to be rescinded, and give Deion his credit. Give Deion his credit. So that's all I got to say. That's nor here nor there. The rest of the roster for the Carolina Panthers offense. Here is the Carolina Panthers defense. And I'm going to go on the record again by saying that the Panthers are a dark horse team to make it to the playoffs. I said this back in late July. When it comes to NFL teams with plenty to prove for the 2025 season, I had the Panthers on that list, and I said that they would make the playoffs. So that's all I have to say about the Carolina Panthers. Now let me get to these Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the Jaguars last season and the last couple of years, they started off hot. But in the middle part of the season, they've had trouble keeping the flame lit. Now, this is a make or break year for Trevor Lawrence because this is the third year of a 5-year, $270 million contract with Trevor Lawrence. Also, not to mention, most of the people that were injured last season for the Jaguars, they are coming back. For instance, Trevor Lawrence, he got injured in week 7 last season and wasn't able to come back. Also, when it comes to the running backs for the Jaguars this season, I want the Jaguars to be able to use all of their running backs because you have 4 running backs on this roster. Yes, 4 running backs. Use all of them. Use all of them. Travis Etienne, you know that he's your top running back. Tank Bigsby is your second running back. Brashil Tin is your third running back. And also those are your running backs. So use all 3 of them. Also, wide receiver / cornerback himself, Travis Hunter, is a budding star. Let's see how many plays he is going to take on the offense and the defensive side of the ball. I will be watching this game in its entirety because I want to see how Travis Hunter can dominate both sides of the field. And this is the first time that the Jacksonville Jaguars will be in the spotlight when it comes to a 1:00 game. Now we all know that, Jacksonville, that they are going to show the Jaguars, but as far as around the country, everybody is going to be watching how the Jaguars play Travis Hunter. Everybody. Now, also the defense, Jaguars defense, did not look good last season. It didn't. It did not look good last season. Here is the rest of the Jaguars defense. Here is the special teams. Now, I got to tell y'all something. The kicker for the Jaguars, Cam Little, he made a 70-yard field goal in the preseason. So he is a guaranteed 3 points. So Trevor Lawrence, please, if you are in field goal range, please do not take a sack because you have a guaranteed 3 points in your back pocket with Cam Little. With Cam Little kicking. Also, injured reserve. You have 4 guys that are on the injured reserve. They can come back after week 4. Head coach for the Jaguars is Liam Cohen. So, this game right here could easily go either way because the Panthers, you have a Panthers team that's trying to show the NFL that they can go into a hostile environment and win, and you have the Jaguars that are trying to show the NFL that they can protect home field advantage because if I'm not mistaken, earlier this offseason, they said that the Jaguars have the worst home field advantage in the NFL, second to the Los Angeles Chargers, meaning that a road team, they don't have any kind of reason to be uneasy when they go into Everbank Stadium. Now, I've always said, I said this a lot last year, before we could start calling Everbank Stadium Trevor Bank Stadium and the Lawrence Law Firm, Trevor Lawrence, he got to protect Everbank Stadium. And what I mean by that is the Jaguars, they got to start winning home games more consistently. Because we can't have the Lawrence Law Firm and you got teams from Kansas City that's going to come here and blowing you out 30-0. I mean that ain't gonna happen, and it wouldn't make sense for us people, for us fans, for football fans to say that, oh, the Lawrence Law Firm is in Jacksonville, and when people go there, they gonna have a tough time. But no, they ain't. It hasn't been like that since Trevor Lawrence has been here. So we're gonna give everybody. We're gonna please fan bases. I'm gonna say this to every fan base right now and at the end of this show. Please, everybody, give your fan base at least a couple games. And as far as to all my fellow Dallas Cowboy fans, men and women, I'm also a Cowboys fan. Can we give our team a special grace tonight? I mean, we want them to be competitive, and God knows we want them to win in Philadelphia tonight. But if they don't, let's not throw in the towel after just one game, okay? We can't throw in the towel after one game. So, I got in this game with the Panthers and the Jaguars. I'm a homer with this one. I'm a homer with this one because I can't go against the Jaguars. I just can't. So, let's see. One thing we got the Jaguars 3.5 point favorite. I think they will cover. And Duval will be victorious in this game. So, all you Jaguar fans out there, please somebody clip that and send it to every Jaguar fan you know, because Duval is back. Football and Duval is back. And let's put a winning product out there on the field. Jaguars, Trevor, we need you to protect the ball more. We can't be having interceptions. We can't be having no turnovers game in and game out. We got to win this year. We need to win this year because in the AFC South, it is anybody, and I do mean it is anybody division this year. You got the Houston Texans. Houston Texans, they starting to lose their grip. Indianapolis Colts, you don't know what you're going to get out of them. Tennessee Titans, they starting a rookie quarterback. The Jaguars, this is your time to win the division and host a playoff game and get the city of Jacksonville excited again about playoff football in Jacksonville. Come on, Jaguars. Please, please, please give the city of Jacksonville something to be happy about going into 2026. Because I mean it has just been quiet in Jacksonville over the past couple of years. I mean, allegedly, everybody been saying that the coach that they had, the previous GM that they had been taking the team backwards. I personally believe that is so, but you have a new era. This is the very first game for the new coaching staff in the Liam Cohen era, and you want to start it off with a bang. So I got the Jaguars winning this thing. I do. And hopefully the Jaguars, they have a good game. The next game, Tennessee Titans and the Denver Broncos. Tennessee Titans roster. I'm going to let y'all look at this roster offense. Here's the Titans offense. Here's the Titans defense. Here's the Titans special teams. Here's the Tennessee Titans injured reserve players. They can return after week 4. Here is the practice squad for the Tennessee Titans. And Brian Callahan is the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Denver Broncos, we all know that they are led by Sean Payton. They have Bo Nix as their quarterback and their quarterback of the future. Here is the Denver Broncos starting offense. Here is the rest of the Broncos starting offense. Here is the Denver Broncos defense. Here is the Broncos special teams. Here is the Broncos injured reserve. Players, they can come back after week 4, led by head coach Sean Payton. And here's the Denver Broncos practice squad. Now, the point spread for this game is 8.5. I believe the Denver Broncos cover this game and win by 10 points because we don't know what we are going to see from the Tennessee Titans. They have a new quarterback at the helm, a rookie quarterback in Cam Ward, and the first game, it's always a learning experience for a rookie quarterback. It is. It's always a learning experience. So I got the Broncos winning that game. The next game I am going to cover is the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. San Francisco has the easiest schedule in the NFL. I'm going to say that again. The San Francisco 49ers have the easiest schedule in the NFL because there are only 2 teams on their schedule that made the playoffs last season. So that's an easy schedule, and I'm pretty sure everybody is saying that the 49ers should win 12, 13 games. But what I'm saying is not so fast. Not so fast because the defense for the 49ers was bad last year. The offense for the 49ers was below average last year. We know what we are going. We know who is at the helm. Brock Purdy is at the helm. Christian McCaffrey is at the helm. They just brought in Brian Robinson Jr. They have Juwan Jennings, Sky Moore, Ricky Pearsall, Demarcus Robinson. This is their offense. Also, they have George Kittle. Here's their defense. Their defense should improve by a lot because they had so many injuries on defense last season. That was one of the reasons why they weren't able to stay in games, and they gave up touchdowns late in games to lose. Here is the special teams for the offense. And here is the injured reserve. Injured reserve players can report back after week 4. 49ers head coach is Kyle Shanahan. Practice squad for the 49ers. Here is their practice squad list. And here is the Seattle Seahawks roster. Wow, this has been a good show, and it is about to end after these next 5 games I'm going to cover. Seattle Seahawks roster led by Sam Darnold. They have Kenneth Walker, Jackson Smith-Njigba. But one thing that the Seattle Seahawks deficiency is going to speak volume with this offense this season. Because in the offseason, they traded away DK Metcalf, their deep threat and one of their tallest wide receivers. And I think that the Seattle Seahawks, they are going to have a significant deficiency just by lack of DK Metcalf's size. Because I don't know if you all know this or not, but DK Metcalf, he is about the same height as me. Got the same build as me and everything. There is not a single pass that DK Metcalf can't catch. Nobody can out-jump DK Metcalf. I mean, he has caught over thousands and thousands of passes. And, I mean, the cornerback, he is just a bystander when he is facing up against DK Metcalf. So, Seattle Seahawks, I don't know what you were doing when you thought about trading away DK Metcalf, but good luck to you because you're going to need it this season. Special teams for the Seattle Seahawks. Injured reserve can report after 4 games. Practice squad for the Seattle Seahawks. And for this game, the point spread for this game is the San Francisco 49ers 2.5. I think the 49ers win this game and they cover. They do. They cover. So that's all I have to say about the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. The next game I'm going to cover is the Week 1 425 slate of games. It starts off with the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. The Detroit Lions, last season, most injuries on a defense in the NFL. Now the Detroit Lions are led by Jared Goff. They have Jahmyr Gibbs. They have David Montgomery, as I like to call him, Demo. They have Craig Reynolds, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Sam Laporta, Brock Wright, Shane Zelister, and here is the rest of their offense for the Detroit Lions. Here is the Detroit Lions defense, which I think they are going to have some problems this season. The offense for the Lions already showed that they have problems. Because does anybody remember that first preseason game? Now, I said I'm not going to take much from a preseason game, but Detroit Lions' offensive line did not look good. It didn't. Here is the rest of the Detroit Lions defense. Here is the special teams for the Detroit Lions. Injured reserve players can report back after week 4. Practice squad players. Here's the practice squad for the Detroit Lions. And let me go to the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers, they have received a very, very new addition at defense. It is Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons. So, the roster for the Green Bay Packers, led by Jordan Love, there's Malik Willis, Josh Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson, Romo Doubs, Matthew Golden, Malik Heath, Jaden Reed, John Fitzpatrick is the wide receiver. Also, Dontavion Wicks is the wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. Also, they have so many other players. Also, the Green Bay Packers are the 3rd youngest team in the NFL. Still, 2 years ago, the Packers were the youngest team in the NFL. Now they are the 3rd youngest team in the NFL. And their average age is 25. I could be on the Green Bay Packers because I'm 24. I could be on the Green Bay Packers as a tight end. Give me the ball and let me catch a pass, throw me a 15-yard pass. I could take that thing to the end zone and I would fit right in with the Green Bay Packers as a tight end. You know, or I could be a backup quarterback. I could help out Jordan Love because, hey, I'm gonna show y'all some videos on how far I can throw a football. I'm gonna do that a little bit later on this season because I know I know I'm better than some of these quarterbacks in the NFL, but that's nor here nor there. Back to the Green Bay Packers roster. The defense for the Green Bay Packers. Here's the defense for the Green Bay Packers. Here is the special teams for the Green Bay Packers. Injured reserve players can report back after 4 games. Practice squad for the Green Bay Packers. And now, let me get to the elephant that is in the damn room. I know. I was not going to end the show without saying this. I love Michael. We all wanted Michael to stay in Dallas. But in the world of business, some things you got to do what you don't want to do. And that's life. That is life. It's always some things that we don't want to do. Over the past few months, before all of this happened, before it's like my career just done took off, it was some things earlier in the year that I didn't want to do, but it was necessary for me to do it in order to get where I am at now and talking to you all as far as an audience. Now, one thing I can say is prediction for this game is I got the Green Bay Packers winning this game. I don't know what I'm going to see from the Detroit Lions offense. I don't know what I'm going to see from the Detroit Lions defense. I know with the Green Bay Packers, they were number 16 in defense last year. With the addition of Micah Parsons, that defense is going to improve astronomically. This is going to be a tight game, but the Green Bay Packers pull it out in the end on either a walk-off field goal or an overtime touchdown. The next game I am going to cover is the Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Rams. Here's the Houston Texans offense. Here is the Houston Texans defense. Here is the Houston Texans special teams. Injured reserve. Players can report back to the active roster after week 4. Head coach DeMeco Ryans for the Houston Texans. Practice squad for the Houston Texans. Now let me shift on over to the Los Angeles Rams. Los Angeles Rams. Last season, if it wasn't for the Philadelphia Eagles, the Rams probably make it to the Super Bowl. That is not a scenario. That is a fact. That is a fact. Los Angeles Rams roster led by Matthew Stafford, Stetson Bennett, Jimmy Garoppolo. Those are the 3 quarterbacks. Here's the rest of the Rams offense led by Blake Corum, Kyron Williams, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Xavier Smith, Jordan Wintington, Davis Allen, Terrence Ferguson, and Tyler Higbee. And here's the rest of the Rams offense. Defense. The Rams defense was top 15 last year, and it can very well be top 15 this year. Here is the special teams for the Los Angeles Rams. Injured reserve for the Los Angeles Rams. Practice squad for the Los Angeles Rams. Head coach is Sean McVay. I have the Rams in this game because Houston, we all know that Houston is a dome team, but we all know that Houston, they've always started out cold throughout their franchise history. And I don't expect nothing to be different in this game. I don't. So I got the Rams winning this game. The next game I am going to cover is the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. This is Sunday night football, baby. Sunday night football. We are towards the end. We are at the end of week 1. Baltimore Ravens, they started the season last year in Kansas City. They ended the season last season in Buffalo, and they are starting this season in Buffalo. Do y'all believe that? The last 2 years where Baltimore has ended their season, they start their season. I guess the schedule makers just want to have the Ravens pick up right where they left off. Now, as of right now, the Baltimore Ravens are a 1.5 point underdog. The Buffalo Bills are a 1.5 point favorite. But let me tell you, this game can go either way. One thing that this is going to be one of my toughest picks for week one because I like what I'm seeing from the Buffalo Bills and I also like what I see with the Baltimore Ravens. Here's the Ravens offense. Here is the Ravens defense. Here is the Baltimore Ravens special teams, injured reserve, and practice squad. Injured reserve, report back after week 4. Here is the practice squad. They are led by head coach John Harbaugh. Now, the Buffalo Bills, they are a team where is the championship window closing for them? It's not closing, but it's starting to close. Kind of like a door. You know when you're outside and you have a door open and you have winds over 25, 30 miles per hour that will completely just close the door in a snap. But when it comes to the Buffalo Bills, they are the kind of door that closes very slowly, meaning that you could have some wind outside. You could have wind outside and a 5 mile per hour, maybe a 10 mile per hour wind, and then all of a sudden you have one of those doors where they like to squeak backwards and forwards, where it's like, and then it goes backwards and forwards. So Buffalo Bills are like a old school door that was built back in the, I'm going to say 60s. They're always there. They always have their teams prepared for the playoffs. But when they get to the playoffs, they can never win in the playoffs. Once they get to the Super Bowl, throughout the history of the Buffalo Bills, they went to the Super Bowl, but have never won the Super Bowl. What difference does this Buffalo team have that the previous 60 other Buffalo teams didn't have? They have a team that is already in the thick of things come year in and year out. But there is a man. There is a man that the Buffalo Bills cannot overconquer. The Baltimore Ravens cannot overconquer. The Cincinnati Bengals, they have overconquered this one bad man once in the past 5 years. And y'all already know who I'm talking about. It's that bad man in KC, Patrick Mahomes. Y'all know that Patrick Mahomes, he got a new haircut, right? You already know that he is about to tear the NFL up this season. And anybody that's in his way, he is going to have a field day against them. So I go back, that leads me to say this. No matter what the Buffalo Bills do, no matter what the Baltimore Ravens do, at the end of the season and at the end of the day, what are you going to do against that bad man who is Patrick Mahomes? Now, I like me some Patrick Mahomes. People that don't like Patrick Mahomes, they hate people. They don't, well, excuse me, I ain't going to say the word hate, but they don't like people that are consistent. Me, I'm consistent when it comes to this show. Patrick Mahomes is consistent. Tom Brady was consistent. All of the greats that are in sports. And no matter whether you great in sports or you great in business, all of the greats, no matter what field you are in, you have to be consistent. Now, I'm not saying that Josh Allen isn't consistent, but when it comes to playing up against Patrick Mahomes for Lamar Jackson, when it comes to playing up against Patrick Mahomes, you have lost more than you have won. So I got the Buffalo Bills in this game, but I would not be surprised if the Ravens upset the Buffalo Bills. I would not be surprised. I wouldn't be. Here is the Buffalo Bills roster. Here is the Buffalo Bills defense. Here's the Buffalo Bills special teams. Injured reserve. Players report back 4 weeks after 4 weeks. It's led by head coach Sean McDermott, head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Sean McDermott. Practice squad for the Buffalo Bills. Here it is. And that is the Sunday night football game, the final game for week 1. We are at the end of week 1 already. We are at the end of week 1. It's the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. Minnesota is a 1.5 point favorite. And they are on the road. The Minnesota Vikings, which are led by J.J. McCarthy, offense. Here's the Minnesota Vikings offense, which is led by J.J. McCarthy. They have Nelson Aguilar, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, Jaden Naylor, Miles Prince, Adam Thielen, T.J. Hockenson, Josh Oliver, Ben Usork. Those are the tight ends and the wide receivers for the Minnesota Vikings. And here is the rest of the Minnesota Vikings. The defense for the Minnesota Vikings. Special teams. Will Racker, Ryan Wright, Andrew D. Paloa. Injured reserve players report back after 4 weeks. Head coach Kevin O'Connell. Practice squad for the Minnesota Vikings. Let you all get a good look. Here is the roster for the Chicago Bears, led by Caleb Williams. Now, Caleb Williams, I expect him to have a pretty big game in this game because it is the first game of the season and Ben Johnson had that offense throughout the preseason running like a fine-tuned, well-oiled machine. They scored 38 points one game. Chicago Bears, another team that could be a dark horse for playoff contention. I'm going to say that again. The Chicago Bears are a team that could potentially be in dark horse playoff contention. Please, somebody clip that when it comes to the Chicago Bears because I like what I'm seeing from Caleb Williams. Here is their offense. They have DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore. They have Jayhad Walker, Rome of Doomsday, Cole Kmet, tight end. And here is the rest of the Chicago Bears offense. Chicago Bears defense. Here is their defense. The defense didn't do well last year, so some improvement is going to happen there. Also, here is the Chicago Bears special teams. Cairo Santos, Troy Taylor, Scott Daly. Injured reserve or players who are out, they can report back after 4 weeks. Head coach for the Chicago Bears is Ben Johnson. practice squad players. Here is the practice squad for the Chicago Bears. So we are basically at the end of our first show, but if anybody needs a refresher on who I am picking for these games, I am going to go down a list and give you my predictions for every game before we sign off and call this the very first prediction show of the 2025 NFL season. So, my Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Dallas Cowboy fans, hey, I got to go against the grain with you tonight. I got Philadelphia winning this game. That's the journalistic side in me saying the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win this game. But the fan side of me, I want the Dallas Cowboys to march into Lincoln Financial Field and find a way to get a win. The next game, tomorrow night, I got the Kansas City Chiefs going to Brazil, Corinthians Arena, and winning over the Los Angeles Chargers. The next game, I have Tampa Bay and Atlanta. I have the Atlanta Falcons winning this game, but I would not be surprised if Tampa Bay won this game because games between Tampa Bay and Atlanta, they always tend to go the opposite way. Cincinnati and Cleveland, I have the Bengals winning this game. Wouldn't be surprised if Shador played though. Miami versus Indianapolis, I got Miami winning. Las Vegas versus New England, I got the Raiders winning. Cardinals versus Saints, Cardinals. Steelers versus Jets, the Steelers. Giants versus Commanders, Commanders. Panthers versus Jaguars, I got the Jaguars. Titans versus Broncos, Broncos. Niners versus Seahawks, I got the 49ers. Detroit Lions versus Green Bay Packers, go Pack, go. Houston Texans versus the Los Angeles Rams, go Rams. Baltimore Ravens versus the Buffalo Bills. I got the Buffalo Bills in this case. But I would not be surprised if the Ravens upset Buffalo. And to close out week 1, I have the Chicago Bears upsetting the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. And with that, those are my predictions for week 1 of the 2025 NFL season. Football is back, America. And tonight, the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles kick off the 106th season of the NFL. You do not want to miss the game. And with that, those are my predictions and odds for week 1 of the NFL season. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. Please like Keytime Sports right here on YouTube. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Key City Sports on Instagram. Also, go and check out The Key on millions.co. Millions.co. Go and follow my page on millions.co with The Key. Also, we have merchandise that is available. We have shirts, we have hats, we have hoodies, we have joggers. We got compression shirts that are available because the winter is right around the corner. And I know that everybody is in need of the newest and latest hoodies and compression shirts when it comes to your street apparel, when it comes to your clothing. You want to have the newest, freshest gear. So go on over to millions.co/the key merchandise, and you will get a t-shirt and a hoodie or joggers, whichever you may like. It is all right there. It is, and the merchandise is live, and it's going to be up there no matter what. So don't miss out on a good deal. Don't miss out on a good deal. And one last thing I want everybody to know is, remember, the key is always on time.